Bitcoiners, welcome back to the Bitcoin 22 Conference Industry Day. I am extremely excited to host a star-studded panel with industry experts to talk about one of the most unique aspects of the Bitcoin markets, the fact that it never sleeps. So, markets that never sleep, that is the title of this panel. Sure, Bitcoin trades 24/7, but that is just the beginning. These markets move extremely fast, and these gentlemen are going to give us a lot of insights into how to navigate them. I want each of you to introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about how your individual firms are competitive and how they thrive in this crazy market. Kanav, let's start with you.
Thanks. Yeah, good to be here, guys. I'm Kanav, the president of Jump Crypto. For folks that aren't familiar with Jump is a prop trading firm that has roots in the pits and the CME over 20 years ago. The firm has evolved dramatically since, and today we're one of the largest quantitative trading firms in the world across a large number of asset classes. We started trading crypto markets over 7 years ago now, and the project has roots as an intern project at the University of Illinois at a lab that we have down there, and it's grown dramatically since. So we have 150 people on the crypto team today. And interestingly, beyond really making markets, we have two other really big pillars in this industry, with Web3 being the movement that it is today, in addition to the OTC and market making businesses. Two major pillars that we focus a lot of our time on is on building infrastructure, decentralized infrastructure in the space, and in a prop venture book. We've been able to bring over a lot of the tricks that we've developed over 20 years, but there's a lot of new tricks that you kind of learn along the way to be dominant in the markets in crypto today. But being early, and coming from a place that has institutional knowledge, I think has positioned us pretty nicely.
Amazing. Let's go to you, Bobby. Same question.
Yeah, thanks. Bobby, CEO of Bitstamp USA. Firstly, crypto is by definition global. That means it absolutely has to be available in every time zone. That's just by definition. And what it takes to do that is not trivial, however. At Bitstamp, we focus on three things to enable seamless 24-hour markets. The first one is industrial strength technology. So, in contrast to some of our peers, we go for best of breed. So we've built around a NASDAQ trading engine, which is super scalable. But the second thing you need is global liquidity, right? You have to be able to provide opportunities 24/7. So we've got almost 5 million customers, 190 countries, and that enables guys like Kanav to find what he needs when he needs it. And then the final thing is customer support, but not just for pedestrian onboarding issues, real problem solving. So, we've got a core of VIP level account managers that help keep guys like Evgeny and Kanav happy, because they're moving a lot of money around 24/7, holidays, Sundays. So we really emphasize that as an exchange.
Yeah, so a point to make is that we have two exchanges and two market makers, so really interesting to see, both sides of this market represented on the panel. James, I want to go to you.
So I think what's interesting here is, James Putra, Trade Station Crypto. The topic is markets that never sleep, but what happens underneath the covers is operators like us also don't sleep. It takes a lot to keep the machine rolling, whether you are interfacing with institutional participants or interfacing with the audience that we have here. You need to be available. Your tools need to be available, but you need people that are going to answer the phone when the customers call or there's a challenge in the market. It's so important that we are available for you guys whenever you need us. The other thing that we focus on is making sure that you have the right types of tools. So we've got individual accounts, we support institutional accounts, but we also support IRA and retirement accounts. So that helps customers choose which part of their wallet share they want to engage with. So you may have some things you want to put in tax advantaged accounts, you may have some things you want to do discretionary. So having those right types of vehicles for the customers are super important. And I guess when I joined crypto, I stopped sleeping, so.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely will take a toll on you. Evgeny, let's go to you.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Evgeny, CEO of Wintermute. Yeah, just as a short introduction for those who don't know who we are one of the leading market-making firms globally, trading all the major centralized and decentralized exchanges with a sizable OTC offering as well. And yeah, this idea of never sleeping, yeah, I can relate to it quite a bit since we've been operating since 2017, and especially before we started our office in Singapore, it was often tough because like a lot of times like our key office is in London, so a lot of times some significant news would happen in Asia or something, and somebody would need to wake up because his automated, like, I don't know, phone number would ring up and tell him, okay, you need to check on algos. And I think what most trading firms kind of need to figure out is whether focus on automation or just hire a lot of people across the board. And we focused on the first one, like automation and making sure that algorithms work on like all the key exchanges 24/7 without interruption and without like even human control. That's the most important aspect of our platform at the moment.
I would add one thing. Behind all of us is probably a significant other that also doesn't sleep when the phone goes off at 2, 3 in the morning on Christmas Day. So big shout out to all the significant others that are supporting your folks that are in crypto.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have to give a hand to the customer service reps who are getting up at crazy hours. So thanks for that, James. I also want to talk a little bit about, obviously this shift to 24-hour trading and everything that comes with it is a stretch for Bitcoin businesses. But it's also having a massive impact on traditional finance and kind of forcing, firms like TD Ameritrade to start changing their offerings, start, finding ways to serve customers more. How has this, kind of change in trading activity that originated from Bitcoin gone back and affected, traditional finance markets? I want to start with you, Bobby, and then maybe, as you all get inspired, you can jump in. But Bobby, let's start with you.
Sure. And I've had the opportunity to see this from both sides. Earlier in my career, I was on the leadership team at CME Group before Kraken and now Bitstamp. And I will say this, it's going to be a major cultural shift for traditional financial services firms to understand the importance of and actually be able to operate on a 24/7 basis. But as I started with in my comments, it's absolutely necessary and they have to get there. From my experience at CME Group, much of the technology platform is designed to have weekends for upgrades. And for other maintenance. And so it's not a trivial undertaking to start to change both the mindset and the infrastructure to be able to service customers around the clock.
Yeah, let me just build in on that. Coming from the TradFi side, it took us 4 years to build up the knowledge just to be comfortable to start the business. But we combine the equities, futures, and crypto world together. And in the equities world, everything stops at 5. That's the end of day. But in the crypto world, it rolls over. So when all of your processes stop at 5 o'clock and you start trying to change them, you find that things that were built 10, 15 years ago start breaking and nobody's around that knew about how to build them. So that's been an interesting challenge for us. The people have been super dynamic on our side. Everyone's been really excited to join the crypto wave. But it does take time to change the mindset of some of the operations and marketing and technology folks that are used to having weekends, because we're used to running 23/5 prior to crypto. Now we run 24/7. And so shifting the mindset to cover the weekends, everybody was great at learning and figuring out how to do that. But then being able to make sure that we had the right operational staffing model to do it was probably one of the most interesting challenges for us to solve.
Yeah, let's go to you, Kanav.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to echo the point on overcoming the cultural and technological debt. I think that's it's a much higher barrier than it kind of seems to start. When we started trading crypto at Jump 6-7 years ago, started as an intern project, and we built all the infrastructure in parallel on AWS because that was going to be a much easier lift than repurposing a lot of the stuff. And then, of course, over time, kind of things integrate, and as business sense kind of changes. But the other very interesting point is the competitive landscape in crypto market structure is so much broader. When the rise of exchanges like Binance and Coinbase and FTX, not only are they all keeping each other on their heels and forcing a whole bunch of innovation, and naturally come from a standpoint of 24/7 markets. And as Bobby pointed out, Bitstamp is from 6 years built kind of with this in mind. But it's coming right for the throats of a lot of the major venues that we see today. We see a lot of major exchanges acquire all kinds of interesting licenses, and I think we're about to see a significant change in market structure overall.
Yeah, I think another interesting part of it is settlement bit, because I think the current microstructure of crypto exchanges, it really challenges like fiat banking side of things, because I don't know, all the normal exchanges, they are used to T+2, T+3 settlements. They're used to settle trades like with a delay. And when they see bitcoins that can be settled pretty much immediately, they do face a pretty big challenge of how do we move to 24/7 markets and at the same time settle things efficiently. And I think more and more of them will potentially start adopting, basically crypto-native innovations like stablecoins, for example, to try to solve it and try to move forward with it. But I think the settlement will be a really interesting challenge for them to solve.
Yeah, just to add on to that, one other market structure phenomenon that I think works so well in the crypto world and the traditional side would be well served to think about is the relatively fewer number of gatekeepers between the customer and the product or the investment opportunity. So in the traditional financial services side, there's a lot of intermediaries that are taking a slice and perhaps adding some value, but removing the customer from the end goal. And I think in the crypto markets, we benefit from having really diverse participation directly on exchange or on platform.
Anyone else want to jump in on that question, or?
Yeah, I think like maybe just building on that. Yeah, it's like any investor, for example, in crypto. Yeah, they can pick up which intermediaries, which exchanges they can engage with, and I think that's a really awesome aspect of it. That's something that traditional markets will find pretty tough to compete with, I think, going forward.
But it's really all of you that are driving the demand. You help steer us for where we're going to go based on what you're interested in and how you want to interact. I think when we first got started, about 12% of the US population had estimated touch crypto. So for some perspective, the average is about 54% of the population touches stocks. This year, they updated the survey. It's 46% of the US population has engaged in crypto in some fashion. So we're talking about a 4-year time frame to close the gap and almost get to the same size of participation as the equity market.
I mean, I think that traditional markets and assets need to be a little scared because Bitcoin is bringing investing in property to the world. And I think that that's something that's really, really unique and another aspect of kind of like the crazy dynamics of this market.
I'm not sure it's scared, but they are definitely here and they are playing and coming in. We've had conversations that are amazing with some of the oldest firms in the US, and they have been working a couple of years now doing interesting things around staking or trading. So the firms are developing the knowledge, and within the next 1 to 2 years, it's going to be really exciting to see what comes out of the more traditional players that will surprise a lot of us.
So I want to go to Bobby with my next question. It's a fact that no exchange has been able to thrive in these crazy markets longer than Bitstamp. They are the oldest running exchange in the world, and they are thriving. I want to hear from you, Bobby. What does it take to not only last, as we've seen all these exchanges come and go, but thrive, and what comes next?
Yeah, thanks. Being relatively new to Bitstamp, I'm the beneficiary of some really great decision making on the part of the founders and on kind of the core leaders in the company over the last 10 years. So we've been at it a decade now. And for me, it's the fundamentals. There's some DNA level issues at Bitstamp that carry us forward. The first one is future focus, and that has a number of components to it, but part of that is really listening to our customers and being customer driven. That sounds obvious, but at Bitstamp, it's really a way of life. And in contrast to some of our competitors, Bitstamp's mindset is very inclusive. We meet customers where they are. We don't just cater to the OGs, who are, of course, very vocal and very important, but we meet the customers where they are, and that's how we innovate. Basically, we use those conversations to fuel our thought process and figure out how to make it more accessible to more people. And then the second thing I would add to this DNA level issue for Bitstamp is just doing it right? So we've always been a compliance forward organization. We don't drag our feet. We try to bring about and enable the right compliance and regulatory frameworks, not because we just love working with regulators, but because we know that's necessary for broad adoption, and that's what we want. We want confidence on the part of consumers to participate.
I would love to give the other panelists a chance to kind of speak to, I guess, like the opposing dynamics between, the free, crazy 24-hour markets and then like trying to be a compliant and safe and customer-forward business. I think that's something that all of you have to grapple with across the globe. That's a whole other factor we didn't talk about, which is that we're not even, committed to, one or two specific geographies.
I mean, it's a lot. I mean, it's testament to 10 years. Awesome. That you have to do things right. You have to do things intentional and take your time delivering them. And you're going to see a lot of the industry that has grown up around here. This is going to consolidate. There's not going to be enough of the pie once it's saturated. Things will start consolidating. And firms that have done things intentionally, intelligently, and appropriately will succeed, potentially eating up some of the other firms. And the firms that have taken on excessive risk, they're just not going to be very viable in the near future. And it's interesting to watch. With every great expansion, you get a lot of different shapes of firms, and we are very interested to watch how this all shakes out as the industry starts to do some of the consolidation. I think there's some great opportunities coming out for acquisitions, as well as good partnerships that are out there right now.
Evgeny, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I think like one really interesting thing about crypto in general is that you see a lot of market participants, like market makers, like exchanges, going way outside of their comfort zone and like expanding into areas which would be unthinkable in traditional markets. Like, I know both us and Jump are doing both venture investment and building actually protocols on the side, and it becomes more and more critical to our business model. For exchanges as well, it's like, when you talk about acquisitions, it's not just, acquiring as exchange. I can imagine it can be acquiring something adjacent, for example, and finding business opportunities which, exchanges like NYSE or NASDAQ wouldn't even consider. Yeah.
I mean, there definitely are strategies out there to grow as fast as you can with playing loose by the rules. But if you want to last a long time here, you need to really focus on doing things within a certain framework that you can stand behind and defend.
Kanav, you want to jump in?
It's kind of funny because I think we've got to a point as an industry where we've been so disruptive, like Evgeny pointed out, where we've developed new business models, we've done a lot of things, moved really quickly, but now it's, and for Bitstamp, it's been there for 10 years, but for a lot of the newer crypto organizations, it's about even scaling as a company and doing a lot of the stuff that Web2 did really well. And so scaling the culture, scaling the business, and surviving 24/7 with employees in 10 countries and scaling workforces. It's kind of a...
So I want to stay with you, and Evgeny mentioned this, but one of the most interesting things about Jump is that you're not only trading and making markets, but you're also building. Can you talk a little bit about why that investment in infrastructure? It's not, if you're a trading firm and you're paying developers, like that is a big deal. So why the kind of conviction into doing those projects on top of on trading?
Yeah. So when we started the crypto effort 6-7 years ago, it started at this research lab where we were working on this intern trading problem so that it could be a sandbox environment that wouldn't mess up everything else that we're doing at Jump. There was a VR project to look at trading screens and try to see if you could abstract the wall of screens away. There was a mining rig in the closet, and the real purpose of that lab was to do new cool things that could be interesting. right? And so even though the crypto business started as an extension of the trading business into these markets, it did start with kind of that ethos that has stayed with us until today. And so as we continued to trade and became one of the early major participants in the space, we were working with a lot of the major protocols on liquidity and protocol-related problems that they found interesting. And a lot of those conversations started to unravel the fact that they were working on, complex financial systems in resource-constrained environments, and that's a problem space that's fairly familiar to us. And it went from conversations to governance proposals to writing some code, and then just making big steps and trying to, really build stuff ourselves. Crypto has unlocked positive-sum games where only zero-sum games existed before. Pith Network is one of the big projects that we're really throwing our weight behind, and it's got about 50 of the largest financial firms in the world, including the top traders, including folks on this panel here, that would generally hate each other and never speak to each other. But we're all coming together to create a piece of infrastructure. And this really new means of resource coordination where we can rebuild rails of not only finance, but a bunch of other really interesting application sets has become increasingly more exciting for us. And leveraging all the strengths that we've built in systems engineering, in quantitative design, and our instincts to really find things that are opportunistically going to be exciting, I think, has led us down this path, and we're very, very committed to it. So,
Evgeny, do you want to also kind of talk about this dynamic between market making and also kind of investing in infrastructure?
Yeah, I think it's like for us, it was pretty much vital from the very beginning to look into the future and like building into the future, not just focus on like short-term opportunities like a lot of other trading firms are doing often, but actually building something in a lot for the long run. And it starts with venture investment is probably the easiest part of it because all you need to do is invest money, but it also comes to, for example, integration with new blockchains, which names I guess I cannot mention in this conference, but integrating with new protocols and integrating with bridging solutions, for example, as well, to just to make sure that the flow of tokens is seamless across the whole ecosystem. And it also comes down to building products as well. So we are looking to build products both on centralized side of things, which so Intermediate nodes that we launched today is our first foray into that, but also even more exciting for me actually building stuff on decentralized stuff, side of things.
For the gentlemen who are operating exchanges, what is the dynamic between building your own tech stack and then investing into the underlying tech under it, like the open source infrastructure that is Bitcoin, etc.?
So I think it's really a question between speed and scalability. The opportunity is now, and developing out your infrastructure, if you're starting now, may take a long time. And if you want to get in the game, so TradeStation, we've been doing this for 35 years, different asset classes. Typically, we would white label a solution, prove out that there's a business model, and then start to ingest that infrastructure and experience inside of our own technology stack. It's worked really well for us. It happens quite a bit throughout the financial space. That is something that we typically tend to look at, is how do we get into the game, understand whether there's a market, and adapt from there. When I think back to your question about should we be building our own infrastructure or should we be interfacing with natively on the blockchains, is what you asked. I think that we have a blend of both. When we look at trading on our side, we need to make sure that the trades move and clear very effectively for customers. And if we do all of that activity directly on a blockchain or multiple blockchains, it's cumbersome. There's a lot of technical integration, and there's a lot to keep up with. So it makes it much easier for us to run them on internal centralized ledgers and report out batch settlements at the end of the day. We do have to interface with different blockchains, though, through our wallet and custodial providers. So we decided to use BitGo, that's our custodian. And through BitGo, we interface with the various blockchains that we have connected for our wallets. And for us, that made the most sense. And it's proven to be a great model for us because I don't have to have expert blockchain developers on staff. I can still leverage some of the experts in the space and have my team, which are expert in different areas, interface with the folks that are experts on individual blockchains.
Awesome. You want to jump in? Or?
Sure. Just to build on James's point, I think many of the firms up here and many of the firms in the space are really long-term focused, and so I have to constantly remind myself what I'm doing. I can't think about the next 10,000 customers. I got to think about the next billion, perhaps, or what have you. And when you start to get your brain around the scale of what we're talking about, it begs questions about infrastructure, right? So our focus is to plan for that eventuality and get best of breed infrastructure in place, NASDAQ matching engine, BitGo custody, what have you, so that we can scale to meet the demand as it comes. And those are tough calls sometimes because it's a real investment in the future, but we've been around for 10 years, as we just talked about, because of this type of decision making.
You need long-term thinking to make it in this crazy short-term trading world. Evgeny, I want to talk to you about something that is really interesting about this market, which is we have on the trading side of things, especially retail trading, some of the most advanced interfaces and technologies out there. And then on the OTC side of things, where millions, billions are being moved, we're seeing that happening via text messages and other sort of messaging apps. Wintermute just released a single dealer platform in order to create a new interface in order to do those kind of OTC deals. So you want to talk about why it was important to build that out and why that's important for the space?
Yeah, definitely. So we've been active on OTC side of things with basically two kinds of offerings. We have our own APIs that external counterparties can connect to, and we service like all the major OTC desks. We service like a bunch of retail aggregators as well on that side. And we have what you mentioned, all those basically hundreds of Telegram chats. That's what it is. And it's basically quite tough to maintain for us internally. And we also realize that it's not the best service for those customers who chose to use Telegram, because it's just like really not convenient ultimately. And it comes back to automation versus hiring like a lot of people. And okay, we have people in Singapore, we have people in London, so we can do 24/7 coverage. But the idea behind nodes, the most basic idea behind Wintermute Node is that people would have UIs that they can log in and basically get the same OTC offering as we have, just in real time, provided by the same API that powers all those major OTC desks. And obviously, as like with all the things that we're building in the space, we always ask ourselves a question: do we create something really new, or do we improve on things that are some other people built? And in this case, it's kind of a both, because on one hand we can service much better people and provide access to over 250 tokens that we cover programmatically and with really advanced settlements. On the other hand, we can build on top of that and offer people to trade any kind of derivatives on top. So it can be CFDs, NDFs, options, any kind of exotic products, and all this will be available in Node later this year, basically for everyone, for all of our users to use, which is very distinct offering from majority of OTC desks out there.
Kanav, do you want to talk a little bit about like this OTC kind of relationship and what does it take to be successful there?
Yeah, the crypto world has so many interesting different avenues and buckets of flow. In addition to the ones that we see in traditional finance, there's all the Robinhoods and trade stations of the world where you get a whole bunch of retail flows still coming in programmatically. You have the Telegram OTC chats that actually are fairly active. You see a bunch of flows in DeFi, and then there's obviously a whole bunch of traditional strategies that you can employ based on, any of the information that you're kind of building on, or what you're focusing on. There's traditional prop alpha strategies. There's kind of basis-driven stuff. There is the statistical arbitrage. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can do as a trader, with the pipes built out across the space. Now, what you got to note is, one, it's all 24/7, like we've been talking about. The operational lift to run something around the clock with high-level technology availability and the best experience is hard. It's all very capital intensive because it's completely pre-funded. There's no prime brokerage. You're depositing all this cash everywhere. And as you're kind of growing and looking at the massive opportunity set that's in this space, you got to make decisions on where you're going to kind of allocate resources as you move, right? And so at Jump, we haven't really focused as much on the Telegram OTC chats or kind of those flows of revenue. Our OTC offering from day one was built electronic, and so it was repurposed from the traditional Jump business where we're electronically doing a very large amount of FX and treasuries and a whole bunch of other kind of more traditional kind of OTC businesses. And that's enabled us to more uniquely, for the past 4 or 5 years, focus on serving flow that needs to programmatically access many thousands of trades per second with lots of size, interfacing with a narrow set of counterparties that really need to kind of work in that avenue. And so, we, for example, don't have the muscles that, Wintermute has on, like, actually settling across all these giant tons of counterparties with 400 symbols, with new ones kind of, coming up with interest every day. And that's kind of, there's a pretty wide berth to play in crypto with the opportunities that exist. So.
Yeah, Bobby, you want to give us the exchange perspective?
Yeah, I would just echo what Evgeny and Kanav are saying, and we're actually moving our offering in this direction as well for all the same reasons. It's different customer sets have different needs and different preferences. And some channels work for some subsegments and other channels for others. And we're trying to meet that demand and make it as seamless and easy as possible. Like Kanav, we've got strengths around technology and automation, so we'll have that type of OTC offering, but we think it's a useful channel for certain types of customers.
Awesome. James, I want to go to you. And before I hit you with my last question, I know that TradeStation was a big part of that amazing bull that was unveiled outside this morning. I guess, why don't you kind of tell us a little bit about the Miami bull and how that came to be?
Sure. So first, how appropriate is it that at probably the most important Bitcoin conference in the world, we unveil, in probably one of the most important cities in the world, we're able to unveil a monument that is going to encapsulate all of the talent in this room, all of the excitement and the energy that is happening in crypto right now, and the amazing amount of FOMO that we are creating down here in this city from the vibe of all the excitement and all the exciting engagement happening between the city and the county, between the private businesses, between the community that are just creating this vortex. And so when we started down this path about 7-8 months ago, we were looking at this and we said, New York has an icon, Singapore has an icon, Miami's doing something special, and we need something here as a community that we can all rally behind. And so through a variety of different ideas, we came up with this crazy concept that is 3,500 pounds, 16 feet long, 9 feet high, and it is this bull that has been built by the firm that did the Avengers, the Transformers. It is mean, it is black, it is massive, and it is so cool. I encourage everyone to go out there and take a picture of the Miami bull. And it is something that we presented, and the mayor and his team have really adopted as this iconic monument for Miami and this kind of central rallying point for the community that represents all that hard work that they're doing. And we're so proud and honored and humbled to be part of this movement and be accepted by the community and to learn from them. And it's just been an amazing experience.
Well, thank you so much. And, thank you to the city of Miami and TradeStation for allowing the bull to be unveiled here at Bitcoin 2022. I encourage everyone to go check that out. But to stay on topic and get back to, what inspired this city to go down the crazy Bitcoin route, which is these crazy markets. I want to talk a little bit about, with TradeStation, like you said, TradeStation's been around for a long time, way before Bitcoin existed, but yet relatively quickly, your team was able to kind of realize that this is a massive opportunity and we need to take advantage of it. How how has TradeStation been able to, one, continue its traditional finance business, build a crypto business, and then maybe even find some symmetries where they can benefit each other?
So it starts with the team and the leadership. We have a great team that's very flexible. It doesn't come without the conflicts and the battles, but we've been doing this business for, I think we were founded here 35 years ago in Miami. We onboarded stocks as an asset class, we onboarded options, we onboarded FX, we onboarded futures. So when we took a look at crypto, for us, the initial mindset was, oh, this is an interesting asset class, so we can just onboard and use a lot of the same framework that we've had for other asset classes, which is mostly true. When you look at crypto, it is very, very close, but just different enough to be a real pain at times. And it took a lot of learning, and we had to develop the internal domain knowledge about the asset class to be able to really go into this space. And one of the challenges has been for us is there's not a clear roadmap. And so we were going down this path without real clear answers. How do you report taxes on this? There's a blog post that changes and it doesn't really give you all the clear guidance. So you have to be able to take the models and the frameworks that you believe will be around or that have been around from our traditional business and try to apply those into the crypto business. And we are fortunate that we've got a tremendous staff of experienced operators, and we're able to blend that experience and help them engage into the crypto market. It's been an amazing ride. I was there with the time I was a Post-it note, and we just sort of scaled this business up. And it is probably the most exciting thing I've ever worked on in my career, of building a crypto trading business. And it's just been such a thrilling ride for us to do this. Like, I'm smiling thinking about it. I remember I went from being the crazy guy in the room talking about Bitcoin to now we're up on stage and hopefully adding some value to the community.
Yeah. From crazy to one of the biggest in the world. Yeah. So that's the story of Bitcoin. We have about a minute each to kind of go with the last word. So I want to start with you, Evgeny. Maybe just, however you want to close out the panel. Any last thoughts? This is your minute. Awesome.
Just in general, really excited to be here. It's really amazing how far Bitcoin community came, like just seeing just how massive this venue is. And I think in general, it's really exciting what comes next as well. And I think we still see massive opportunity going forward, for exchanges, for trading firms, and for investors and hodlers and everyone else.
Incredible. James?
I think, like I said before, we're so humbled to be part of this community. We are doing a lot to kind of participate and give back. We've got 125 jobs open, so anybody that is interested to try to work with us, please stop by the booth. We love to hire local, but we'll hire from everywhere. We also are interested to work with businesses. If you've got projects or ideas, we're always looking for good concepts of partners to work with. Stop by our booth, say hello, learn about what we're doing. I believe also you can open up accounts there, talk to us about the offering, and then come take a picture with the bull. # Miami Bull, and enjoy it. Thank you for having us.
Amazing. Thank you, James. Bobby?
Yeah. Firstly, it's so inspiring to be here, and just the scale of this event versus last year is so energizing for those of us who are trying to build the community. And a heartfelt thanks to all of you that have supported Bitstamp for the last 10 years. You know who you are, and look forward to partnering with all of you for the next 50 or 100.
Yeah, crypto is cool now.
Yeah, it's become.
Yeah, no, it's awesome to be here, guys. With all the hyper growth in the space, everyone's seen incredible opportunity. I'll echo the hiring cry here. When I started as an intern, we were about 2 people full time, and we're 150 today, and scaling very aggressively. We've got roles open for everything as well, and we're really committed to building the next wave of crypto infrastructure, really from kind of a whole lens of across liquidity, engineering, and investments. And so, if you guys are interested in building with us or working with us, reach out. Thanks.
All right, awesome. Everyone, that is the end of our panel. Give these gentlemen a round of applause. They did an amazing job. Thank you so much.
Nice work. That's fun.